African Union Communications, Early Warning, and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command and combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing.
Good morning. On 10 August 2026, the armed forces of the Russian Federation continued the special military operation. Across the entire front, our groups of forces achieved tactical improvements, delivered deep strikes, and inflicted substantial losses on Ukrainian manpower and hardware. We open with the North Group. The North Group of forces took more advantageous lines and positions. Strikes were delivered at manpower and hardware of 2 mechanized brigades, 1 motorized infantry brigade, and 1 assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine. Engagements occurred near Borshtchevaya, Buzovo, Prudyanka, Prikolotnoye, and Slatino in Kharkov region. In Sumy region, formations of 1 mechanized brigade and 2 territorial defense brigades were hit near Malaya Rybitsa, Ulanovo, Pisarevka, and Tolstodubovo. Overall losses inflicted on the enemy in this sector amounted to up to 180 troops, 11 motor vehicles, 2 artillery guns, and 2 electronic warfare stations. The West Group improved the tactical situation. Manpower and hardware of 2 mechanized brigades, 1 assault brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 1 Marine brigade were hit close to Gorozhanovka, Chervony Oskol, Podlyman in Kharkov region, as well as Yatskavka, Mayaki, Donetskoye, and Svyatogorsk in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy losses reached up to 215 troops, 1 tank, 24 motor vehicles, 2 artillery guns, and 1 electronic warfare station. The South Group of forces took more advantageous lines and positions. Strikes were delivered at formations of 2 mechanized brigades, 1 airmobile brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 1 Marine brigade close to Druzhkovka, Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, Nikolaevka, Nikanorovka, and Nikolaepolie in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost up to 205 troops, 1 tank, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 22 motor vehicles, 1 artillery gun, and 1 counterfire radar. The Center Group improved the situation along the front line. The group inflicted losses on manpower and hardware of 2 mechanized brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and 3 National Guard brigades. Action took place near Dobropolye, Novotroitskoye, Artema, Novogrigorovka, Anovka, Krasnopodolye in the Donetsk People's Republic, and Ivanovka in Dnipropetrovsk region.
The enemy lost more than 335 troops, 8 armored fighting vehicles, 12 motor vehicles, 2 field artillery guns, and 3 electronic warfare stations.
Units of the East Group of forces advanced to the depths of the enemy's defense. The group's forces defeated manpower and hardware of 1 mechanized brigade, 1 air assault brigade, 3 assault regiments of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 1 Marine brigade. Engagements were recorded near Vasilkovka, Velikomikhailovka in Dnipropetrovsk region, and Mirovka, Novoy Pol, Nikolskoye, Yegorovka, and Shirokoye in Zaporozhye region. The enemy lost more than 340 troops, 3 armored fighting vehicles, and 10 motor vehicles. The Dnipro Group's units inflicted losses on 1 mechanized brigade and 1 mountain assault brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine close to Zaporozhets, Orakov, and Yurkovka in Zaporozhye region. More than 25 servicemen, 15 motor vehicles, and 1 electronic warfare station were neutralized.
Operational tactical aviation, attack drones, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian armed forces delivered strikes on energy and transport infrastructure facilities, logistics centers used in the interests of the armed forces of Ukraine, assembly facilities and storage depots of attack UAVs and their components, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian formations and foreign mercenaries. Damage was inflicted in a total of 158 target areas, systematically degrading Kiev's combat sustainment capabilities. Air defense systems protected the force throughout the day, shooting down 11 guided aerial bombs and 1,134 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. No HIMARS projectiles or Neptune anti-ship missiles were reported engaged during this period.
Now to the updated cumulative loss figures since the beginning of the special military operation. The armed forces of Ukraine have lost 673 aircraft, 284 helicopters, 203,025 unmanned aerial vehicles, 669 anti-aircraft missile systems, 30,520 tanks and other armored fighting vehicles, 1,769 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 36,110 field artillery guns and mortars, and 68,889 units of special military vehicles. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.